Start with an issue that's too complicated for any normal person to understand. Throw in a dose of hyper-partisan politics, and you got almost no chance of something good coming out, right? But the Senate Republicans have released their version of the Obamacare fix today.
Craig Gottwals joins us. Craig, the Obamacare lawyer. He is an expert in benefits and healthcare and that sort of thing. Can help your company out if you ever need it. Hey, Craig, have you had a chance to look at this new beast?
Good morning, guys. Yeah. Why don't we add, Jack, that it's only 52 minutes old, and I haven't had time to read the whole thing, and we'll just nail down the fact that we will almost certainly get this wrong.
Well, let's waste everybody's time then. No, there are certain details emerging, and I know you've formed at least a preliminary opinion.
No, and believe it or not, it's 142 pages, and I've read about 73 of them quickly as I'm scanning through looking for differences. And the bottom line, guys, is I think I had concluded with you about a month ago saying the House bill really just took Obamacare and moved it about 6 inches to the right and cemented a $1.5 trillion entitlement for the country and a redistribution of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
This bill, as far as I can tell this far in, moves it 2 inches back towards the left and really cements that entitlement.
So now it's 4 inches to the right of where Obamacare was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just not. I mean, there are some tiny differences for certain groups of people out there, but overall, remember, Obamacare is about $1.75 trillion redistribution of wealth through health care. Trump Care was roughly $1.6 trillion. I don't see how this is going to be any different. In fact, I think this is going to cost more than the House bill. I shouldn't say Trump Care because who knows what that is, but we'll say House bill, Senate bill, and Obamacare. I don't see how this is going to cost any less. I think it'll probably cost more than the House bill. And this is going to anger more conservatives. I think that you're going to run into the trouble of having less conservatives fall off of the right side of the GOP that'll vote for this bill.
Wow. Legislatively, where it goes from here is really interesting because, I mean, if they can only muster, say, 45 Republican votes, I say you go ahead and have the vote, and no Democrats vote for it. And then what do? You move it further to the left and line up 5 Democrats who are willing to cross the aisle, having lost then 6 Republicans, and that fails. And then I just have no idea where it goes.
Well, in a decent world, even though I'm not happy with where things are, you would think that if it's what you described, you could pick up a handful of Democrats that would account for Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and people like that. But no Democrat wants to be seen as going along with the evil Donald Trump because they get primaried.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right. And, this thing is, so just to give you guys kind of like one example of what they've done here. So if you'll remember in Obamacare, the amount of money that you got to buy insurance was based upon your income. And as long as you were under 400% of the federal poverty level, you got federal dollars to help you buy insurance. The House bill then came along and said that doesn't make a lot of sense because insurance plans cost more depending upon your age. And so they overwhelmingly changed that metric to mean that you'd get more federal dollars to buy health care if you were older. Well, this bill, and this is the part that is really confusing as I look through it, I find it to be even more complicated than both, because what they're doing here is they're saying, no, income should be the metric, but instead of 400% of the federal poverty level, we'll move it back to 350% of the federal poverty level. Ooh, big change, right? And we'll also adjust it based upon your age. So they've really taken an amalgam of both Obamacare and the House bill and made it even more complicated, at least with respect to how the subsidies would go out to individuals.
Well, and there are pitfalls there, I understand it. But if you are in favor of this sort of thing at all, that makes sense, that there are tiered subsidies depending on income and age.
It makes sense, but it's the practicality of implementing this for employers and individuals and IRS tax reporting is Herculean, because just doing it the way Obamacare did it was crushing to businesses who were trying to do the reporting and trying to get it right. The way the House bill would have done it would have simplified that. This will make it more complicated and more difficult, which is not what we need overall in the healthcare system.
Well, you've said on our show you think that we're 7 to 10 years away from just government universal health care in this country. What will that be like, do you think? You think that'll suck?
And how much time do we have? Barely a minute, right? Barely a minute. Go ahead.
But just, you think they think in general we'll like that, or will we hate that?
In general, I have a feeling we're not going to love it. We're not going to like it all that much. I don't necessarily think it'll suck as bad as what we're hearing about the VA, because I think the first step in America would be something more akin to Medicare for all, which is what the seniors have, and they generally like it in America. It'll cost a ton, though, and we will have longer wait times and we will have less choices, but it would achieve what at least some on the left really want, and that's just guaranteed health care for everybody across the board.
But if you're a person that has had employer health care your whole life and probably will, it's definitely going to be a step backwards.
Yeah, it would be a takeaway from that.
Interesting. What will that do? What will that do to the politics? Electorally speaking, will the truth ever get out?
There'll be never-ending battles about what it costs.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Craig, thanks a million. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Get a more complete view.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Craig Ottwals. See him at benefit-revolution.com.
Longer wait times and way more expensive. Of course, it'll be like Social Security or other entitlements. We'll just put off the debt until we collapse as a nation.
Yeah, we'll put it off on our kids and grandkids. That is guaranteed.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Armstrong and Getty Show.